What's going on, guys? So today I have something really exciting to show you. It just showed up in the mail today. I came home from work and it was sitting on my front porch. It is ours, it can be ours, GFB hybrid response blow-off valve. This is the one that can do the recirculating or vent to atmosphere. Unfortunately, we had a little mishap with Broc's car. He was on a, extravaganza down south in Columbus. We have some work to do to his, so we're gonna swing out there and I'm gonna show you what's going on with that, and we're gonna try to fix that today instead. It's a 2000 and something rather Mini Cooper S, and it has failed to get him home safely, and he's here now.
Found it.
What?
It skipped off the alternator.
Did it skip off the alternator?
Look back, right behind it.
No, dude, it's on there. It's on the alternator.
Where?
You're so silly. You're so silly with your silly things. Anyways, we're gonna wheel this in the garage real quick. We're gonna take the wheel off because to really get a good look at it, you gotta get this passenger wheel off. But the Mini's not running, so we're gonna get this Super Saiyan back on the road and functioning. So we're gonna fix it. Broc is exhausted and tired and
sunburnt.
Delusional.
Sunburnt.
Delusional.
Yes.
All right, you are actually really burnt.
I
so
know. I'm aware.
let's get the contrast here. Oh, ouch. Okay. He's operating on like a half-hour sleep right now too. Like yeah, it's not good. So we're gonna pull this in the garage. That's what we're doing today. Let's figure out what's going on with the Mini.
Or there's one for $439.
Yeah.
Yeah. Russell.
The crank pulley broke. It didn't like snap, but the harmonic balancer, if you're familiar, has like a rubber sleeve kind of collar on it. That has broken, so that's what's wrong. Serpentine belt's fine, but the pulley is not good. So it's not spinning fast enough to charge the battery and do other things it's supposed to. So being I've never worked on one of these, we're gonna take a minute and figure out what all we have to take apart right now. We're taking off the passenger wheel.
We're gonna countersink some screws, mount that shit right on there, and throw the belt back on.
We're not gonna do that. We're going to remove the passenger wheel well. That'll get you a nice sight of what's there. And then I will be working on trying to get that stuff loose so we can get this thing back on the road. So, yeah. Woohoo! So we gotta take out, let's see here, a couple clips. We got one here, one over here. It looks like one's missing actually out of here. So a couple in this fender lining. Our pulley is right behind here. So we're gonna take this fender lining out and then hopefully get to what we need. Find more clips. Actually, we may have to take it out in one whole piece, so we might get this whole piece out all together. Bye! Love you! Love you too! We're gonna take this fender lining out and then hopefully get right to that pulley, and we'll show you what's going on. T20 screw underneath there. That's the last one for pulling that out. So we got the fender out. I'll show a back shot of what it all looks like, but that's our guy. So we do have to get the tension off. We'll take the belt off. That's going to be easier said than done. But this pulley has malfunctioned. We'll look at it here in a minute a little closer, try to get it off. I'm going to do a little bit of research real quick on how to do that, or the best way to do that without damaging anything. Obviously you want to be careful when you're taking any of these pulleys off, because they do have to seat back on the correct way, otherwise stuff's not going to run right. So let me go do some research before we just yank this sucker off, and then we'll get to it. Alright guys, so I did find a trick to getting I did find a trick for getting the tensioner off, and I'll show you that here in a minute. What we're doing now is we're going to be taking off the harmonic balancer. Michael stopped over and brought his electric impact because my air compressor is broke. What we're going to need is a 15mm socket. Now that we have the belt off, we're going to hit that, and that'll get the bolt loose. Chances are we're going to need to get a puller to actually pull the balancer off the actual crankshaft, but this will give us the next step to getting that just about done. So that's what we're going to do. Since Michael drove all the way out here, I'll give him the honors of cracking it loose. Lighting, check. Camera, check. Impact gun. Michael's elbow in the way, check.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're good. Awesome. Now pull the belt off. Now this does have some Loctite on it, so they are going to be kind of snug, but just keep that in mind when you're doing this. There are tricks to do this without an impact, but it is hands down the easiest way. If you guys are getting into stuff like this, I do recommend one of these cordless ones if you don't want to do the air compressor. This here is a Craftsman, what is this?
19.2.
19.2 volts.
C3.
Yeah, so pretty solid.
Find it at Sears.
Yeah, we find them at Sears, but Michael got it. We use his all the time, especially at my house because my compressor is a baby compressor, especially now even because it's broken. But those are something you guys would like to look to get. The other trick is basically propping a breaker bar in there and doing some tricks. I've done it before on an older car I had, but it's not something I like to do. It's kind of sketchy, but it does work if you need to. So now we got to go get a puller, get that pulled off, get a new balancer. It's going to be a couple days for that. So in that next couple of days, you will see nothing. But in the next 30 seconds, not even that, probably the next 2 seconds, you guys will see us pulling it off. Alright guys, so I was able to get the new balancer here. Broc brought it over last night. We had to do some test fitting with some bolts to actually get the old one pulled off. Right now I got the puller on there. There is a special tool you get from BMW, or Mini, however you want to put it, but from BMW to actually pull that balancer off. I don't have that, I'm not going to buy that. I actually have one hooked up right now. It's kind of hard to show you while I get it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull it off, show you the setup I use to get it pulled off. That way you can do it without having to buy that actual tool for it. So if you want to spend the money, if you like have one of these cars and you work on them all the time, it may not be a bad idea to get one because it would make it a lot easier. We kind of wrestled with it a little bit last night, so I'll show you what I did though, and yeah, we'll get to it. So give me 10 minutes to get that pulled off and show you. So we have the old one off now, and yeah, that was a pain in the butt. So that's what happened. This separated. This should be one piece. We got the new one right here. What we're gonna do now is get a torch and heat this up in here. This is what slides onto the collar that's on the engine itself. We're gonna heat that up, and that's gonna make it a little easier to slide on. Once we do that, we'll probably take a socket inside here, hit it with a hammer to make sure it goes on flush, and then just tighten the bolt down and put the belt on. We're done. So we're gonna go heat this up. So let's talk about this pulley and pulling this and all that fun stuff. So you will need a puller. If you can get, like I said, the factory one, that would make this a lot easier. I wasn't spending the money on it, especially just to do this one time. So what we had to do is you will need 3 of these 6x1.0 bolts. The length will depend on the puller. Can't remember what length these are. I want to say 25 mil or 30. But you want to get some that have a little bit of length to them. You'll need 3 of those. So basically what happens on a normal situation is you take your puller and you put a spacer down inside here. Unfortunately, when you don't have the right tool, it's not going to do that. So this puller, the base of it is going to push against the pulley, which wouldn't allow it to come off. So what we did is we took the factory bolt, we slid it in there and only threaded it in like maybe 3 turns. Then we mounted this to it. Again, our 3 bolts, and they mount right here. You'll see those 3 holes. And then the bolt, you don't want to tighten it down against the face of this, you want to leave some space. So as you crank this, it'll pull the pulley up out to the bolt. Then once you do that, you back it off a little bit and then tighten it some more to keep pulling that out until it bottoms out again. Now what happened to us is it did end up bottoming out against the bolt without coming all the way off. So what I had to do was install this. Now this is a 1/4 inch extension. We actually put a bolt in behind it as well, and when we threaded it, it actually threaded itself into the extension. So that wasn't intentional, but it happened, so we got to deal with it. But this was like the perfect length. So we slid this all the way down through the center. It was small enough to not damage any of the threads, and that's the key when you slide something in there. You don't want to have it too big to where it damages the thread. And then we took this bolt and we slid it through here. And when it would hit this, it held it up away from the face here, and we were able to back that pulley off the rest of the way. It's kind of complicated to do it this way because you got to kind of be just work with what you got and create something to make it do it. And it's obviously you run the risk of damaging some threads on that crank, which you don't want to do. So if you're pretty nervous about that, I would say go ahead and spend the money and get the right cooler. I had enough confidence in doing it this way. It did take us a little longer to do it that way just because we had to keep taking the part off. But obviously you see it came off, there's no problems. Just keep in mind when you're doing this to be very careful with what you stick down in there. So you don't want to just stick anything in there. But yeah, so that's what you need. 3 of these, cooler, and a couple spacers more or less to go down in there. If you guys have any questions on that, just leave a comment down below. I'll try to answer them best I can. So outside of getting the actual tool to do this, that's your best bet, is to just kind of figure it out. So if you ever go to your dad's house or your grandpa's house and you realize they never throw any bolts and stuff away, that's why. I have a drawer full of them for reasons just like this. You never know what you're going to need them for. So I quite literally use bolts as spacers today. So oh, the other thing, real quick. When we were using the main crank bolt, when we were tightening it down, this was actually turning the bolt and actually threading the bolt in, so it wasn't helping. So what we did was we took this wrench here, slid it up underneath the front axle there, so when I would turn, this was locked onto that bolt, and when it would turn, it would hit that axle and wouldn't let the bolt turn anymore. So that's what we did to prevent that. Now if you see, this actually has an offset, so you'll need something with an offset because it will be down inside this pulley just slightly. But there you go. That's how I did it. Like I said, if you have any questions, just ask them down below. Let's go back to getting this thing out of here and moving on with life. Basically, I heated that up right in the center collar a little bit. Kind of set it on and then just took a 24mm socket, set it right in the middle, tapped it on. It's seated there. So all we have to do now is thread the bolt back in. They do recommend you replace this. I'm guessing because they say it stretches a little bit. We're gonna put the same one back in. So I figured if it was that important, when you would buy a new one, they would ship you a new one. So we're gonna put the same one back in. We do have to make sure we put new Loctite on it, otherwise this could spin out and that's a bad thing. So new Loctite, and then tighten it up, put the belt on. The only thing that makes this job annoying is because you gotta have so many special tools. The tensioner, that actually has a special tool. Yeah, that makes it really annoying because if you don't have the right stuff, it makes it difficult. But enough hodgepodge brought together. This is a bolt broken off into a 1/4 inch extension. We actually use this. So, all right. So to tighten down the crankshaft nut or bolt, we had to use a pry bar and one more extra bolt in one of those puller holes. So basically we thread this in. Broc then actually held the pry bar against this nut or this bolt so it couldn't turn while I tighten down the center nut. It was 70 to 80 foot-pounds. We did it at 75 foot-pounds. That's just something we found on the internet. I've seen a couple other tidbits elsewhere saying the same general torque. So that's good. We're all done there. Now we just have to reroute this belt. So real quick, again, there's another special tool to do this part, but basically we just got a pry bar under this lip here, and we're just prying up on that. Then once you do that, the tensioner locking pin is back in there. We just got a screwdriver put in the hole. Anyways, that's how you do the tensioner. You pry up on that and slide something in there. Allen wrench works really well. I just happen to have a screwdriver handy. So, you get it? Yeah. Alright, so Broc's got it on. You still need that. You gotta take the screwdriver back out. But anyways, we're gonna pull this out. That'll apply all the tension back on. That's the way to do it. A good thing to do, which I didn't do, would be to take this grounding cable off to get it out of the way. And if you don't want to do this, we did actually bend this piece of framing right here, or this piece of, pinch weld, whatever. So if you don't want to do it that way, you will have to buy the tool, because that is the surface you have to pry against. So if you don't want to do that, get the tool, spend the money. If you own the car, spend the money. That's up to Broc if he wants to do that. So as of now, we're not going to buy it because we're able to do it with the pry bar. So there you go. We're going to put the fender lining back in. We should probably just crank it over while we have it off though, just to make sure it runs. And then we'll be good to go. Yeah, get it the frick out of here.
Let's get the Broc out of here.
We got things to do to that car. I got like 3 projects going on this weekend, so get this one out of here and then on to the next one.
I know my better half would fade, and all my doubt is a staircase for you, up and out of this maze. The first step is the one you believe in. The second one might be profound. I follow you down through the eye of the storm. Don't worry, I'll keep you warm. I follow you down while we're passing through space. I don't care if we fall from grace. I follow you down.
Guys, not really a how-to, kinda. It's a little complicated not having the right tools, but you can get it done. So we're getting this thing back on the road. Broc can go home. If you guys like the video, thumbs up, comment below. If you want to see more done to this car versus my car, leave a comment below and we'll get Broc to buy some parts for it and do things to it. Outside of that, we're all done. He's leaving. If you think he's sexy, leave a thumbs up. I will see you guys later. Go learn something. Say later.
Later.
What's going on, guys? So this week, instead of Mater, David's gonna hijack the tip of the week. So let's see what he's got. What do you got, David? And that's why we stick with Mater. Yo, Mater, can you fix this thing? David screwed it up.
I'll take it from here, Dave. Never open a box with your teeth, because you might risk getting a paper cut up in your roof of your mouth.
That's how it's done. Later.